let you just kind of give us your overall thoughts on the class.
Yeah, no, obviously exciting day for us. We had National Signing Day. We had ball practice this morning, and the culmination of nowadays it's more than 1 year's work. We started recruiting some of these kids. Came to camps when they were freshmen or came to junior day when they were sophomore. And the amount of time, energy, resources that it goes into recruiting nowadays and how early you have to be. We've already had a junior day. The day after the MAC championship game, we had a junior day for next year. So it's kind of like, one, you're so excited about the class. One, you're so excited that the one cycle has ended, but you're also so excited because the next cycle's already started before this cycle's ended. Want to take a minute. We've talked, since the championship game about all the alum that have donated and supported, and like this MAC championship was certainly credit to the players and the coaches and the support people, but it's also bigger than that for us because we know 6 years ago the people that jumped on board, we talked about supporting our program before we even got a new head coach in here. There was people donating money to an indoor and donating money to a football building. And then the same thing in recruiting. I want to give a special shout out to Steve Edelman, who over a year ago reached out to us. We didn't reach out to him, just another Miami alum that loves Miami and really loves Miami football. And he's not even a football alum, just a supportive Miami alum that reached out to us. We didn't reach out to him and said, hey, I've got some money. I want to help Coach Martin recruit, and however he seems fit, like however he could use some extra money in recruiting, because obviously anytime you can increase your budget, and we felt like we were kind of short-staffed, so we hired Trey Nair into a position we didn't have as an off-the-field recruiting guy his job would be recruiting and manage recruiting and identify prospects in recruiting and go through all the stuff that a lot of the bigger schools have. And it's kind of awesome time today at National Signing Day just to give a huge thanks and recognition to him, because another Miami person that reached out to help Miami football just because they want to support Miami football. And then you look at the class we signed last year, he's got to be sitting there smiling like, hey, I made an investment to help Coach Martin recruit, and man, that was a good investment because look who Coach Martin recruited. He recruited Brett Gaverett and Rusty Feth and Ivan Pace and all these other freshmen that not only came in and helped our football team, but helped our football team win a MAC championship. And that's, and again, credit to the staff and a credit to Trey, but a credit to Steve and his, coming to us, supporting. And then now we've signed another great class, and that position has been instrumental in helping us take another step forward in recruiting. So anybody out there that wants to support Miami football or any other athletics that they love, understand it makes a difference in winning championships. Understands it makes a difference in these kids' lives and the success that these kids get. It is huge, and it is an investment, and it is a partnership with us within the athletic program. We don't take it lightly, and this is a perfect example. The timing he jumped on board to help us, and we create a new position, and that new position's been instrumental in the success we've had the last 2 years recruiting. And then he saw it on the field, hey, I pitched into the recruiting efforts, and look what it got us. Like I said, we didn't win a MAC championship this year because of those freshmen, but we would not have won one without them. It wasn't, I'm not saying it was those 8 or 10 freshmen, but anybody watches us play, without those 8 or 10 freshmen, we don't have the MAC championship trophy. So segue into this year, we're again, just like we were last year. I was really, really excited about last year's class, and I wasn't wrong about that one. That was a really good class for Miami football. We're just as excited about this one, and we're just excited about the one we're starting. As we talked on the show today, length and athleticism across the board, whether it be O-linemen, whether it be tight ends, and then versatility. All our skill guys can do more than just carry a ball or cover a guy. They can run and hit and tackle and play the ball. A lot of our skill guys were really dynamic on both sides of the ball, to where who knows where they're even going to end up at Miami. They'll probably start where they want to start, but who knows, the kid that was the all-state receiver and the all-league safety, where he's going to end up helping us. So length and athleticism, and then versatility, and then same thing we've been trying to do since we recruited Gus Ragland. We recruited Gus Ragland first. He was our first ever commit that we're going to be smart and we're going to be tough and we're going to be competitive. And then you watch our football team this year, we were a lot of things. We were good in a lot of areas and we had a lot of talented kids. But the main thing that's shown through every week was we were smart, we were tough, and we were competitive. Like, that's who we were. And that carried the day at times when we weren't pretty enough here or fast enough here or smooth enough at this or this was a little ugly. At the end of the day, smart, competitive, and tough overruled maybe being a little sloppy on this or a little inexperienced here or maybe didn't do what we were supposed to here. So we've got a number of good skill guys. We've got a number of good big guys. We've got offense and defense alignment. And like last year, I don't know which ones, but I think a number of these guys physically, just like I said last year on the signing date, physically will be able to compete right away. Now, who mentally can handle it and who can get caught up to the speed of college football and who has enough confidence and intestinal fortitude to jump in at a certain position and compete for a spot right now, that remains to be seen when they get here. But just like I said a year ago, that I think there's a number of these kids that they're not going to be a fish out of water when they show up here. And we got 6 mid-semester kids coming that'll get a little more of an opportunity. But it wasn't necessarily the mid-semester kids that played a bunch last year. There was most kids that played a bunch last year showed up here in June and made a huge impact in a very short period of time. So definitely Miami-type kids, very well-rounded kids that understand that they're coming here to continue to help our football team play at a championship level, but definitely kids that understand the opportunity that being a scholarship athlete at Miami gives you off the field, and the opportunity in the classroom, the opportunity to prepare yourself for the rest of your life, the opportunity to get really, really good skills at whatever chosen profession and be really ready to go out there and be dynamic when your football playing days are over, and also understand the Miami community and what we're all about within the football program, but within the whole Miami community. So we're really proud of this group. We think it's a special group. We thought last year was a special group. Hopefully they'll be as special as last year. We'll be smiling again this time next year.
With a lot of those guys being physically ready to go now, do you see them kind of coming in and contributing like this year's freshman class, or would you hopefully want to stash them for a year and let them develop in the system?
Yeah, you always hope they're ready to contribute because that means they're pretty good. Anytime a young guy is that good that he can play right away, he's pretty darn good. You know what I mean? He's not making a small impact. So you always hope they are. You don't know. And then a lot of it has to do position too, and then opportunities. Some of it was, we had a 4-year starting quarterback, so that spot was wide open. Some of it was injury to the O-lineman early in the year that opened up opportunities. So you don't really know which one of these kids. There may be a DB that's just as ready as a wideout, but there might be a better opportunity at a receiver to get in the mix. It doesn't mean that the DB isn't just as capable of being the next Rusty Fath or the next Ivan Pace. It just means where there's a need sometimes. So some of it has to do with that too, your depth and then even injuries, and somebody gets an opportunity and they don't look back. And so, but again, we know that this class that we just signed was watching last year's class, and that also opens that in your head that I can do that, If no freshmen have played in a long time, that's like, well, I'm probably going to be a backup or a redshirt. Where these kids were already, 21 of these 23 have been committed since the summertime or earlier, so they've watched this whole season unfold, and they're thinking, man, that kid last year was me, and now look at him. He's in Detroit playing for a MAC championship, and he's on the field. And the second play of the game on defense, Ivan Pace and Lonnie Phelps, 2 true freshmen, are sacking their quarterback. And it's like, man, I want that to be me. So, it's like a first-generation college student opens the door for other people in the family to realize, like, this is real. This could happen to me. So, to me, they've raised the bar for freshmen here, which is exciting. And you already have these kids last recruiting weekend talking about, like, I'm playing next year, And I don't know, without the success of some of the kids last year, they'd have that big a mindset. But that's what you want coming in. You want them coming in saying, hey, I'm going to come in, I'm going to take somebody's spot. I'm not taking a backseat to no one. And, the kids that did this year, they definitely had that mindset, and they kind of opened up, I think, future excitement for young kids to try to come and help us.
I think you said 21 of the 23 guys you've had signed for quite a while. Were any late additions due to winning the MAC championship? How does that play a factor in the recruiting?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't hurt us, obviously, but our guys had done a good job. The 2 late additions in John Saunders and Ambe Caldwell were kids we've been on, and it was like we're kind of like we had 21. We were kind of in a holding pattern. We certainly liked both those kids, but we kind of want to get through the season and just kind of see needs before we used our last few scholarships. And then the season ended, and our staff really just, not just their position coaches, but our whole staff really just loved those two kids and those two families and the competitiveness and the talent level. So then it was kind of like, we kind of got through the season. We feel like those are must-adds and a credit to those kids. And obviously, winning the MAC championship probably didn't hurt us getting them to say yes. I don't know how much that played in it, but I'm certainly it made it easier when everybody came on the official visa weekend and we're buying their MAC championship gear.
You've had a lot of success recruiting, kind of in Miami's own backyard. Gus Ragland, Andrew Homer, just last year with Phelps and Pace. Not too many guys from around here in this class. Is that just kind of
no? It isn't. It's just year to year. Like last year, we had 4 kids from Coleraine, a kid from Mount Healthy, and a kid from Cov Cath. We had 6 kids where you could, we recruit those schools just as hard this year. Just like I said, I'm from Chicago. The last couple of years, some of my best friends are being like, yeah, you're not getting any Chicago kids. And this year, and it wasn't like we re-emphasized Chicago, just the right fit. The kids from Chicago that we really liked were really good fits at Miami. And they really understood Miami. So it wasn't like for the 2 years previous we were focused on Cincinnati, we weren't focused on Chicago. Now we have a renewed emphasis on Chicago because we got 5 kids out of that greater Chicago area. It just happened to be the year where the fit for Miami and the fit for our program and the fit for these kids, what they're looking for. And again, we're unique in that way. We're not just like every other school. The expectations in our football program can be unique at times. And then also the school and coming here and buying into what, you're going to go to school with a bunch of 30 ACTs, and school's pretty important around here. And if you're not the Sterling Weatherford, who obviously anybody who watches Sterling's one of many examples who just pours his heart and soul into playing football, but he also pours his heart and soul into his engineer major. Trust me. Sterling works just as hard at being an engineer student and is just as passionate. And that's a unique kid that, a lot of kids are really, go to college and just being an engineering major at Miami is a pretty full load. If you talk to any kids that are in the engineering program, it's a pretty hard job. And then there's other kids that go to school and just play football, and that's a pretty hard job in of itself. And you want to combine the two, it takes a special kid, and that's where these kids and these families come in, that this is what they want. They want that challenge of Miami on and off the field.
Do you ever just kind of sit back? You mentioned Trey, with some of the additions here with Trey and all the buildings. Do you ever just sit back and be like, how different it is recruiting now in 2019 compared to when you first got here in 2013?
Yeah, no doubt. All time. And, just different times. You just like I said, late in the year, we had a bye week, and I made a couple of the new staff guys. I think we have 6 or 7 guys from our original staff, which is amazing. In 6 years, we have had that continuity, and that's part of why we've had the success. But I made Coach Nowinski and Coach Whitlow watched the Western Kentucky road trip about 4 years ago, because I'm like, we had a bad practice, and we get pretty salty at times, and we're not good at this, and we stink at this, and we got to get better here. And then I was like, and I'm the worst at that. Trust me, I'm by far the worst at getting salty at times. So we for about 15 minutes one night, we during a bye week, we popped in the Western Kentucky road trip. Was 49-0 at half. And we were not that close in that game. It was, and that was a short time ago. So and then you just think when we got here, like this was our team meeting room or our locker room or this was, so, and then for me, because I'm a sports fanatic, like just all the strides we've made all across the athletic department, not just in football, obviously football, our facilities have went from worst to first, you know what I mean? Like we weren't even close to anybody in our league, and now no one in our league, when you go indoor and the gun liability, it's not close. It's pretty amazing. And then all the other, even this studio that we're in, where we do press conference, where we do, like everything that keeps advancing, and then just the competitiveness for our athletic department to keep getting better. And it's hard at times. It's enrollment's going down, and there's things that make it difficult. But just us staying competitive to keep trying to get better, keep trying to get better, keep trying to get better, keep trying to get better. And then, as I always say, like for me, all this turnaround. We won, we run 2 MAC championships in the last 35 years. That's our reality. We had from 2006 to 2015, we were 26-54 in MAC play. So it wasn't just right before we got here, we were 0-16. From 2000, so we went a decade Well, we went 26-54 in MAC play. So it wasn't just like, there's a couple bad years there and this has been awesome. No, we had a decade of ineptitude other than one season in 2010 when we went 7-1. We had a 7-1 in that 26-54. All right, so the other 9 years we were 19-53. That's a decade of not doing much of anything on a football field. And then you come in and you see the original locker room and the original coach's offices and no indoor facility and no place to work out in the off season, And then you see David Saylor's vision was here before I was and had a vision, and then you get here and then you get all these alums. And I always say, like, how'd you do it? Well, it's nice to have a really good school with successful alums because we're not the only school that wants to do these things. The difference here is we have alums that love Miami football, but they're also have done very well for themselves with their Miami degree. Not all the donors were NFL players and coaches. There's a few, the Roethlisbergers, the Brandon Brooks, the Harbaughs, the McVays. There's been some really nice gifts from people that have had continued success playing and coaching this game. But 90% of the money we've raised in football has come from football alums that, as the saying goes, went professional in something other than football. But because they went to Miami, we've tapped into a crazy successful alumni base that really is passionate about our football program. And it's been this whole turnaround. It's been a total family effort. It hasn't just been you hire a new coach or you had a good recruiting class, or it's been an incredible process to think back, like you said, you sit back and think, man, how far have we come? And we just keep making steps. We added this position just a year ago. It wasn't like we did everything 6 years ago and it was all fine. We're still looking for ways to improve and make things better. And there's still people contributing from behind the scenes that is allowing us to have a better chance to be successful on the field. And then you win the MAC championship. And that's like the first people I think about were those people who jumped in before me. When you're 0-16 and you don't even have a coach, you're in the middle of a coaching change, and you got somebody talking about building an indoor, like, who wants to be part of that? I'm the guy that's jumping in when we're all, So just those people, it's so special, and it shows how much they care about this place. And then you think about those people when you're up on the podium and your son's hoisting the MAC championship trophy, like we get in the car after, that's what I'm thinking, like, man, those people, they were on board before I was on board. And wow, man, I'm really happy for myself and my team, but I'm really happy for those people that really no reason jumped on board and have really helped us get this thing back to where we want it.
Is it rare to have so many kids committed before the summer even ends this year?
That's kind of how the cycle's going. It's happening earlier and earlier. Recruiting's happening so much earlier. These kids are starting marketing themselves as freshmen and sophomores, and we're making earlier and earlier. I don't know if anybody really loves it this way, but it just kind of, it keeps getting, a few years ago we had a junior day like before the signing date in February, and we were like way ahead of everyone. It was like, everybody's junior days were in February, and now ours was January 30th, and it was like, we're getting all these kids on. Well, now to have the early junior day, we had it the day after the MAC championship. Like everybody keeps moving up, so I'm like, pretty soon we're gonna have to have one during the season, which is illegal. But it's just everybody's trying to stay one step ahead, and everybody's competitive, and everybody's works really hard. So the cycle keeps moving up, and then kids are going and visiting these places and going to camps, and like all the kids that committed us, it wasn't like they'd been to Miami one time and committed. They've been on this campus 2, 3, 4, some of them 6, 7, 8, 9 times. So they really knew what they were buying, and even though they were only going into their senior year, they had been a bunch of places, and it shows that this was the right fit for them. So it just kind of way the cycle's gone.
Are we good? All right. Appreciate it, Coach.
Thanks.